Hello, and thank you for joining us on another one of our webinar sessions here at Senior Health Medicare. Today, I have Kevin, or Doc, Martin. He's going to be talking about veteran affairs and coverage and how it interacts with Medicare. So if you're a vet, you're in the right place. And Kevin is also a vet. He's going to tell us a little bit about his history here and get into the topic. So Kevin, thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. As Courtney mentioned, my name is Kevin Martin. Most people know me as Doc. I did over 8 years in the Navy as a Fleet Marine Force corpsman, including a combat tour in Afghanistan. I am also a 100% disabled veteran. As far as drug coverage goes with the VA drug coverage does count as credible drug coverage. If you have a VA locally that you typically receive your medications at, you're not required to sign up with any sort of Medicare Part D prescription drug plan. If you ever move away from the VA, you will not be charged a Part D penalty if you go to sign up for one if you have to receive your medications out in town. If you have a local VA and you aren't sure what you'd have to spend on your medications, I'm going to shed some light on that aspect for you as well. Drug copays at the VA are based off of what's called a priority group. If you're a priority group 1, that means that you are either 50% or higher military disability or considered unemployable by the VA. So you will pay no copays on your medication. All in all, there's about 10 different exemptions for medication copays through the VA, which are as follows. The first one is veterans rated 50% or higher with service-connected disability. The second one is medications dispensed for service-connected conditions. What this means is, say you are 40% disabled, but you receive medications for those disabilities that you are service-connected for. Those medications you will not pay a copay on. Now, say you got out 20 years ago and all of a sudden you have to start receiving metformin for diabetes. Under that kind of situation, you would have to pay copays on that metformin. The third exemption is veterans who are former prisoners of war. The fourth one is medications for Vietnam-era herbicide-exposed, radiation-exposed, combat, or Camp Lejeune veterans. The fifth exemption is medications for treatment of military sexual trauma. The sixth is medications for treatment of cancer of the head or neck. The seventh is medications provided as part of a VA-approved research project. What that means is, say you're being treated for mental health at a VA and you decide that you want to volunteer for one of the research projects that they typically have. Any medications that would be required for that research project would not come out of your pocket. The VA would cover those for you. The eighth is veterans with a low income, which would be an annual income lower than the applicable VA pension. The ninth is veterans who the VA determines to be catastrophically disabled. And the last one is veterans receiving care for psychosis or a mental illness other than psychosis. If none of these situations apply to you, then you're most likely in priority group 2 through 8. What that means for you is that a 30-day supply of preferred generic drugs would be about $5. A 30-day supply of non-preferred generics and some over-the-counters would be $8. And a 30-day supply of brand name drugs would be $11. Unlike the Medicare requirements, the VA has a medication copay cap of $700 per calendar year. So you would not be susceptible to the donut hole or catastrophic coverage or anything like that. If you have questions and you're not quite sure what priority group you will fall under, you can contact any VA medical facility. They can pull up your record and they'd be able to tell you that information. Now, if you go to the VA for all of your medical coverage, you do not need any sort of Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage plan. The VA will continue to be your primary insurance, and Medicare will take over as a secondary once you age in. There's no point in having a secondary to a secondary insurance. Now, if you only go to the VA for some of your care, then there are low-cost options to complement the VA coverage. If you do receive some of your care outside the VA, there are some supplements and some Medicare Advantage plans that can help you with the costs. Everyone's situation is different, but the high deductible Plan F and some Medicare Advantage plans are examples of what could help cover these excess costs. For military retirees, TRICARE for Life will provide the best coverage at the lowest cost. TRICARE for Life is an amazing insurance that offers better coverage than any of the Medicare plans currently available. However, make sure that you still enroll in Medicare once you age in at 65, because enrolling in Medicare Parts A and B is a prerequisite of maintaining your TRICARE coverage. This is the main bulk of any of the information that you would need to know as a veteran when it comes to using VA coverage with Medicare. If you have any further questions on that, feel free to contact me here in the office, and I'd be happy to go over any questions you might have.
We do have one question that came in while you were speaking. First of all, this is Larry from Texas. He first wants to thank you for your service. And then he also said, is it possible to get medical coverage while still using drug coverage through the VA?
That's a great question, and yes, it is possible. If you want to continue using your VA drug coverage, that's perfectly fine, and you can receive all your medications through the VA while still receiving care out in town. The Medicare actually created a couple different Medicare Advantage plans specifically for this kind of situation for veterans. There are actually MA plans, Medicare Advantage plans, that do not have prescription drug coverage, so an HMO or a PPO with no drug coverage. These are specifically for veterans because you can't get a PDP plan and a Medicare Advantage plan. Now, if you don't like the idea of a Medicare Advantage plan, then one of the low-cost options for Medicare supplements would be something like a high deductible Plan F or a Plan N.
Awesome. I think that's all we have for today. Thank you, Doc, for your time and your service again. For those of you listening, we have many other topics, different webinars that you can check out on our website, which is www.seniorhealthmedicare.com. Doc mentioned getting in touch with him personally for veteran benefits. His email is kmartin, M as in Mary, ARTIN, @seniorhealthmedicare.com. He'll be there to answer any questions for you. And the 800 number is on our website as well. Thank you again for joining us today, and have a great day.
The moderator has left the conference.